Hello and welcome to this video on what to do when you're ready to start using your ShootPlantPlanner extension in SketchUp. So this video is brilliant for if you already have a good knowledge of how to use Shoot and also a grounding in how to use SketchUp as well. So as you can see, I have my SketchUp file ready built. This is my garden that I'll be working in. And if I head over into perspective view, you can see that it is also built out into the 3D view as well. So it's ready to have plants placed into it. The very first thing you're going to have to do is download and install the extension for ShootPlantPlanner. So head over to the website and you can download that from the 3D planner area of the website, and it will download as an RBZ file. Then you can open up SketchUp, head to Extensions and Extension Manager, and from here you head down to Install Extension, and this file here is what you're looking for. You click on that and you click Open. I won't do it as I've already got it installed on my device, but that's how you would install it. It will then appear here. You can see I've got my ShootPlantPlanner plugin here, and all you'll need to do after that is quit or close SketchUp and reopen it, and it will be ready to go. Once you've installed it, you will see this little side window pop up with the Shoot logo. I've also added mine up to my menu bar up here, and then when you click on either one of these, it will open up the ShootPlantPlanner extension. The very first window it shows you will be a login page, so you'll just use your Shoot credentials to log in to the extension. I'm already logged in here, and it shows you all of the garden projects that you have. So I'm going to head on to my demo garden at the top. Garden list replicates whatever I have added to the garden project on the Shoot website, so it's got all the same plants and all the same groupings. I can search within the plant list here for a specific plant. I can also toggle between proposed and planted, as well as all the different groups that I have created in the Shoot website as well. I also have the option to add a plant here, so I can head. So if I search for a plant, we could do a heuchera marmalade, for example, and add that to proposed and ungrouped, add plant. And then when we head back down to our list and search for that heuchera, that will now appear on our list there, as you can see. Placing plants in your plan is very easy, so I'm actually going to just toggle back on the Shoot Plants tag over here. As you can see, this will turn on all the plants in my plan, and from a perspective view, they are a triangle shape, so this demonstrates the height and the spread of your plant. They are also reflecting the colour that you've set over here for the plant circle along the edge. And then when I head back to the top-down view, you can see they're all plant circles like so. So they've got their colour and their spread assigned to them, as well as these labels as well. To place a plant, I'm going to place these abelias over here in this bed. You simply click on the plant circle and then click to place the plant in your plan. It is compatible with SketchUp features such as creating arrays or lines of plants, so you can use that as well. If I wanted to change anything about the plant, then I head over to the three-dot menu here and go Edit Symbol. In here, you can see we've got 2D geometric shape, so this is the colour, the opacity and the key code for the 2D geometric shapes, so that's the plant circles and the triangles. What we can also set over here is the 2D silhouette. So these are the plant shapes that we've got available for the plants in SketchUp, and I will toggle that setting on in a moment to show you what that looks like. But we can change any of this too, so you can search by plant type. So I'll look for perennial, and I'll change the top-down view of this plant to this sort of spiky option here. And again, I can search for, let's say, shrub, or keep it in keeping, you could do perennial, obviously, and search within this list for a different shrub shape. So I'm just going to select this one here so it looks different. You've got the plotting size as well, so we can change, if I change this to 0.8 meters by 1.5 meters high, that's going to change the size and height of the plant circles too. Face me is if you want your plant shapes to follow you as you rotate around the plan. I'll show you what that means in a moment as well. You might want to turn that off if you're using anything like a pleach tree, which needs to stay in position as you go. I'm going to click Save Symbol now, and you'll see that the size of these will adjust because I did change the size. And then if I head up to the settings up here, this is where we can turn on those 2D silhouettes. So I'm going to turn on those plant shapes, 2D silhouette. You can toggle on and off these plant labels as well. You can make the plan black and white, so that will just turn the plant circles black and white, not the whole plan. It just only controls the shoot plant circles. And you can also turn on this properties box. I'll turn that on to show you what that is as well. So I'll click Save Settings. It will just take a moment to load, but you will see in a second that it changes the top-down view to those that spiky shape that I selected, and it has reflected that across the whole plan. Personally, I prefer to work when I'm in top-down view with the plant circles, but the 2D silhouette shapes are really nice when you go into the perspective view. So if I toggle into scene 2, you're going to see those plant shapes come into their own. So if I minimize this window, you can see we've got all of the 2D plant shapes which I've set across the board for all of the plants I've placed in the plan. If I rotate around, you can see that the plant shapes, they are 2D, so if I go from the top, they are 2D, and that saves on processing power. But from the side, they have the impression of being 3D as they follow you around the plan. The exception is these pleach trees along the back, so that is that face me option that I mentioned before. I've turned that off so that these don't follow me around the plan, which is quite helpful because you don't want those pleach trees to come away from that brick wall along there. Heading back to scene 1, I can show you what the properties box is. So if I click on any plant in my plan, I now get up this properties box, which gives you all of the plant information that we have from the database, and most usefully is the quantity count at the bottom, so you can see how many plants you are adding as you go. I tend to turn this off when I'm working in my plan purely because it pops up every time you click on a plant. It's useful for checking purposes, but if you're working actively in a plan, I would head over to the settings and just turn that off, which I'm going to do now. So I'll reopen my extension, go to settings, and just toggle off that properties box too. I'm also going to turn 2D silhouettes off as well, so we head back to those plant circles instead, as you can see. Speaking of checking quantities as you go, you can use the report function at the top here. So if I click on that, this will give you a report of all the plants that you've added to your plan. And if you tick these 2 boxes, it's also going to tell you the list type, which is proposed versus planted, and the groups as well. So it will bring those groups in. And you've got the quantity count along the side there as well. You can download this as a CSV file, so that is any spreadsheet compatible file. So that's quite useful if you want to send that off to a nursery or any similar use for that plant list. You can sync it back with Shoot as well. So if I click to sync back with Shoot, it's going to update my Shoot plant list on the website with anything that I've also added in the extension. If I tick this box as well and type the word confirm in, it will overwrite my plant list in the Shoot website and only keep the plants that I've got in the plan. So it will delete any extra plants that I haven't used in the plan but that I may have added to my list. So just use that with caution. You may or may not want to do that, but it will ask you to confirm whether you want to do that when you select that option. Once you've placed all your plants in your plan, you can prepare your plan to go to layout. So you want to position it where you desire on the page. I'm using scenes up here. So if I click on scene 1, it's going to just adjust my plan to where I had it before. So I'm quite happy with that. And then I'm going to right click on the scene, click update. So that just saves any changes that I've made to the sort of styling or any of the other selections that I may have made. And then I'll head up to File, Save, and then I'm going to go back to File and Send to Layout. So we're going to send this plan over to Layout now. Let's pop it on A3 Landscape. There's a few options here that you can select, so I'm just going to click on my plan and right click on the plan again. And head down to scale. So I can set my scale here. I'm going to choose 1 to 100. And then I'm just going to drag out the little blue arrows to make sure everything is nicely positioned on the page. So now we've got the plan in place there. I can then use the labeling to add my plant labels. So if I go up to the label up here and click on any of these plants, I'm going to zoom in on this one up here, click on the plant, just make sure you're clicking anywhere within the plant circle, and then double click. It's going to bring up that abbreviation with an underscore and circle, and then the number. If you've got more than one of those plants, it will just have a number next to it. That's the second one of these plants that I placed, so it's got a 2. I will double click on this though, and you get a drop down menu. So if I click on the drop down menu, you can select the Latin name here, and it will bring through all that lovely information from the Shoot database for you. If you select the second option of the Latin name, so not the top one up here, but if you scroll down and select this option, I'm going to double click on it, and it's going to fill in that name with the Latin name there. And it will now, because I selected that second option, it will automatically apply that to the other plant names when I add the labels too. So if I scroll down and I'm going to click on label, and these are the abelias I added, so I'll click on the plant circle once, double click to place the label, and you can see we're getting that Abelia triflora Latin name automatically filled in there. What you can also do is create groups and group names within SketchUp. So I'm actually going to head back to SketchUp now and show you how you can make updates to your plan in SketchUp and then bring them across to layout without having to send it through to layout from afresh. So if I just go back and open SketchUp again, I'm going to click on this Abelia and then hold down Shift on my keyboard, and you see I get a little red plus symbol next to my cursor. Now I'll just click on each of the instances, let go of Shift on my keyboard, right click, and then I can make group. You'll see if I click on another plant, so over here I'm going to click on this plant. In my entity info, we can see that it has a shoot plant tag assigned to it. So every plant I place in this plan will have a shoot tag assigned to it, which basically says that they're all coming from the same source and they're all sort of part of the same object family. And it's got the definition, so that is the plant name in there. However, when I click on the group that I've just created over here of abelias, we don't have a tag, so we can actually assign the shoot plants tag to it, so it knows it's part of that grouping. And in the instance name, I'm actually going to type in the plant name, so Abelia triflora, and pop in brackets number 5, because I've got 5 of those plants there. And what this will do is it will give us a naming option for it in layout. So if I click away and I go up to File and Save, and then head back to Layout, what it should do is when I double click on this name and go to the drop down, it should give us an extra option here of the instance name. So that's that group name that I just created, but it's not showing me right now. And that's because there's a couple of other steps I actually have to take before that. You might think that once you've saved the file in SketchUp, it will carry across to layout, but there are a couple of other things you need to do first. So heading back to SketchUp, the first thing I want to do is go to my scene and just right click and update the scene, and that's going to now remember that I've created a new instance and group name over here. And then I'm going to head up to File and Save, and then head back to Layout. I'm going to click once on my plan and then right click on it and update model reference. So you get this little yellow triangle. Once that's disappeared, that means it's updated. So it's relinked it with SketchUp essentially. So it's got all the latest updates to it. And now when I double click on the name and go to the drop down, you can see we've got that extra option here. So that's the group name, Abelia triflora with the brackets 5. So I can double click on that and it's going to add that as a group name to my plan as well. And that change, that method of updating and changing your plan carries across all the other updates you might make on your plan. So if, for example, I wanted to change the style, I can head back to SketchUp, open up my styles panel and maybe change to a different style like so. And so I will just need to again go to my scene, right click and update the scene. Go to File, save the file, and then head back to Layout. Click on my plan, right click and update model reference, and it's going to bring in that new style that I've just selected there. Once you're happy with your plan and you've added all the labels that you want to add, you're ready to export it, so you can head up to File and either save the document as a layout file, or you can go straight to export, and that's where you can export it as a PDF file. Things I'm going to talk through now, which are common troubleshooting points, which you might have noticed as we've been going along. So the first one is, if I zoom into the plan, you can see it's actually quite blurry and the quality of the finish isn't fantastic. And that's just a layout setting. It's nothing to do with anything you've done wrong, and it's nothing to do with the Shoot extension. It's just how Layout is rendering this file when you bring it in. So if I click on the plan and then right click, we can have a look at the render mode down here. So at the moment it's set to raster, and what that does is it pixelates everything in your plan. So it means it's a very nice and quick file to work in, so I'd recommend keeping it on raster mode whilst you're adding your labels and any other information. But after that, when you come to export it, I would swap over to hybrid, and what this will do is it will update all of the lines and graphics, so any of the paving lines, the plant lines, anything else in your plan, so that it's a vector. And a vector is an unpixelated type of line, so it means however far in you zoom, your line will never become pixelated because it's got infinite pixelation. It makes your file a bit heavier and slower to load, so if you don't have a lot of processing power on your device, just be aware it might take a long time to do this, and it might even cause Layout to crash, so make sure you save everything beforehand. But what it does do is it increases that quality, so you can see over here the lines are all a lot crisper. Having it on hybrid mode though will retain any textures you have. So for example, if I had a grassy texture, it will retain the texture, but it will just make those lines crisper instead. The other option we've got, if I right click on the plan under render mode, is vector, and that will convert everything in your plan to a vector, including the textures, and this is the heaviest form of file. I would recommend sticking to the hybrid. I think that works best, but if you want that really sort of crisp finish across the board, you can swap to vector as well. Another thing you may have noticed is that the even in hybrid mode, some of the labels aren't that visible, and this is just because of the way the lines are brought across from the style I've selected into this layout file. So if I show you over here on the side of the plan, you can see that the names are actually, they've got a double line on them. So the smaller the circle, the sort of thicker the line is, because it's actually a double line that's going on there. You might want to have a play around with styles in SketchUp to find something else that works better for you, or it might be that it's easier just to turn off the labels on the plant circles and only use the labeling that we've got along the side here. It sort of depends what works best for you. You might want to explore as well. So if I head back to SketchUp and change my style, let's just change it to this one here, and I go to my scene and I update the scene, and then I go to File and save the file. So I'm going to update this so it's got a different style in Layout. I can head back to Layout, right click and update model reference. You can see it's updated that model reference here. But on occasion, and it hasn't done it this time, but sometimes you will end up with a line that's going across all of your plant circles. And there is an easy fix for that as well. So this is just something to watch out for. It hasn't done it for me this time, but I will talk you through the steps on how to troubleshoot that if it does. So if I head back to SketchUp, all I would need to do is go to my Styles panel and then go to Edit. Choose the second option along, which is editing the faces, and change this transparency quality from faster to nicer. And what that will do is it will basically carry across more of the file information from SketchUp to Layout, and it produces a higher quality finished file. So it takes a bit longer to load, but it means that you're not going to see those extra graphics, so the lines across the circles that you don't want to see. So once you do that, again, you'd go to your scene, update your scene, and then go to File, Save, and once again, you'd head back to Layout, right-click, and Update Model Reference. And that would get rid of the lines across the circles if you had them, which I don't have here. But that's just one to look out for when you're working in your file. Thank you for watching this video. For more help and support, head over to shootgardening.com where you can find our help videos, or contact us at shoot@shootgardening.com.